All right, it is almost game time. Got a couple hours till kickoff. And this is my first 2023 game preview video. Now, I've called this DonGPT, Nebraska versus Minnesota, for a reason. We'll get to that in just a second. See, when I began to research this video, I realized that there are already dozens, if not hundreds of people commenting on this game. There are videos and articles and Facebook posts. I mean, there's probably 1,000 different takes on this game. So when I thought about recording this, I thought, well, what am I going to add to this? I mean, I can't break a game down as good as Connor and Adam. Those guys are the best. And but on the other hand, I do have opinions about the game. But I'm going to have to research about watching all these other videos and read these news stories and all that. And I thought, you know, what about this? Here's an idea. Why don't I take all the articles and analysis and the videos that are already out there and take all of that information and have ChatGPT synthesize it into a game summary, a game preview summary, along with a score prediction. Something, by the way, which I did, but I have not read this. I don't know what this is yet. We'll find out in just a moment. I figured the best way to do it is to have the experts get analyzed by ChatGPT. I'll read you what ChatGPT says, give you my opinion at the end, and if you like this video, if it's interesting and unique and fun or whatever, leave me a comment and I'll do it next week. Here we go. This is DonGPT, Nebraska versus Minnesota. And it begins. This was written 100% by AI, based on the input of dozens of articles and videos and all sorts of stuff. As the Minnesota Golden Gophers prepare to host the Nebraska Cornhuskers in what promises to be a riveting Big Ten matchup, each team faces its own set of strategic imperatives and challenges. This duel isn't merely a showcase of athletic prowess, it's a chess match that will test the coaching acumen and leadership qualities on both sides of the field. Now, I must admit, before I go any further, that first paragraph, that could be about any game. So ChatGPT is going to have to do a little bit better for next week because that first paragraph, chess match between coaches or whatever, we've heard this 1,000 times. Not impressed so far. For the Golden Gophers, the blueprint for victory lies in leveraging their formidable defense, which claimed the 8th spot in total defense nationally last year. If the Gopher defense can stymie Nebraska's rushing attack, it would handicap the Cornhuskers' offense and force them into a predictable passing game. Well, that's interesting because, truthfully, that probably is where most fans right now are concerned, and that is with the passing game. New quarterback. Basically, on the offense, it's a whole new team, except the running backs are kind of the same running backs we had last year. So the passing game is different. Running game is the same. Point being, I think that ChatGPT here is onto something. I think most fans are probably concerned, I know I am, that if they have to lean too much on the pass and get away from that run, it might get a little shaky. Continuing on. Offensively, Minnesota has the tools to control the clock and the game's tempo. With Sean Tyler, a transfer back who distinguished himself last season, and a robust offensive line, the Gophers should aim to dominate on the ground, chew up the clock, and thereby limit Nebraska's chances to score. Well, I'll admit, I've heard some commentary from guys that say that the Minnesota quarterback is prone to throwing a lot of interceptions. He's not that efficient, not that good of a quarterback, so that would make sense. So I think that ChatGPT is probably right there too, based on what I've read. All right, on the flip side, Nebraska, under the fresh stewardship of Coach Matt Rule, has the elements for a potential upset. I agree. The key for the Cornhuskers will be their performance of their front seven, which must step up to contain Minnesota's ground game. Now, again, that's pretty prescient. I think that's pretty accurate. I think that starting with Nebraska's offensive line and then their defensive line, those were the keys last year. And I think going into this year, where a lot of people's concerns lie. So good, ChatGPT, good. On the offensive end, quarterback Jeff Sims represents a dual threat that could keep Minnesota's defense guessing if his O-line can afford him the necessary protection. Exactly right. Success through the air, especially against a Gopher secondary that's seen recent departures, could pave the way for the ground game and keep Minnesota's defense honest. Well, I'll tell you what, If Jeff Sims could start producing in the air, then that will absolutely, it's one of the, you normally hear the run setting up the pass. Well, in this case, if Jeff Sims and the passing attack can have any success, it will definitely set up the run and kind of reverse that script. So once more, I got to give credit to ChatGPT. In summary, this is more than just another game on the schedule. It's a barometer for each team's aspirations for the rest of the season. With Minnesota seen as the more seasoned program, and that, by the way, that's exactly right. I don't know that we've seen a Nebraska coaching staff with this much upheaval over one season to another. I mean, top to bottom, cleaning house basically, and Minnesota not. So Minnesota obviously the more seasoned team in terms of coaching as a program. And Nebraska as the underdogs with untapped upside. I like the way they put that. The contest is ripe with intriguing subplots. Given the mix of established talent and new elements like Minnesota's Sean Tyler and Nebraska's revamped coaching staff, the stage is set for a grueling, intensely fought showdown. I want to pause here for a moment. I agree with that. I don't see this being a shootout, in the air, certainly not from Nebraska's standpoint, so I think that's accurate. A synthesis, and by the way, and Matt Rule has even said to start before even the season began, he wanted to go back to smash mouth football, and bring in Jeff Sims is obviously a good step in the right direction on the quarterback front to do that. And I think ChatGPT is onto something here again when it talks about the grueling, intensely fought showdown. Once more, I think ChatGPT is onto something there. A synthesis of various score predictions utilizing a wisdom of the crowd approach suggests a tight contest favoring Minnesota. Final score projection. Here we go. All right. Minnesota 23, Nebraska 20. Expect a thrilling, nail-biting spectacle that could very well set the trajectory for each team's respective season. Okay, I think that last statement by ChatGPT nails it right there. If Minnesota were to lose to this Nebraska team, which on paper they should not, they are more seasoned. They're a team that is, if it was this easy just to retool like Nebraska has and come back and start winning, it would say an awful lot more, in my opinion, about the weakness of Minnesota as opposed to the strength of Nebraska this early in the season. But I also think that it'll set the tone for the season in another way, because if Nebraska can win this game, this is one of those games that I thought Nebraska would have to win to go to that 9-3 record. If you beat Minnesota, it's a great start to the season and does put you on the path, if you watch my prior video, to 9-3. So aside from the introduction paragraph, which I thought was just, pretty standard boilerplate stuff, I think that ChatGPT nailed a lot of the keys to the game. I think it's interesting that ChatGPT did not mention the quarterback for Minnesota. Although it did allude to that, it did allude to the quarterback a little bit, didn't talk about the quarterback specifically. And a lot of talk about Jeff Sims in here. And Jeff Sims is definitely, I think, a linchpin to this game. If Jeff Sims goes down, it's going to be rough sledding. Okay, so you know what? I thought that was kind of neat. I kind of agree with ChatGPT. I thought that the AI was pretty much spot on in its analysis. I think the score resonates with the scores I've seen other people come up with. So now let me give you my breakdown. It's a lot less wordy. It goes like this. Nebraska this year is the most unknown commodity I have ever seen in a college football team. Basically, the whole offense is new. A lot of the defense is new. All their coaches are new. We know that the defensive scheming is new. The quarterback play is going to be radically different than last year. All of this is kind of a wild card, a positive wild card. It's in a hand that you'd like to get. I mean, if you're playing Texas Hold'em poker, you'd like the talent that you've been dealt in your hand, but it is definitely an unknown. I got to go with Minnesota on this. I'm going to give the edge to Minnesota, something like 27-24, 27-23, somewhere there, 27-21. I think the game will be closer than Minnesota's going to want. It won't be close enough for Nebraska fans. I think it'll be a good game. And overall, I guess I kind of agree with ChatGPT here. We'll see how it goes. If you like this video, if you like this concept, please leave me a comment. If you don't like this concept, leave me a comment. If you think it's dumb, if you think it's amazing, if you think it's funny, whatever you want, just leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Big Red.